Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher, and today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Quagga from Lisette Hofer. This is, you know what? We only do neat tangles. Period. I mean, this is another neat one. I catch myself. I'm saying, "Oh, this is a neat tangle," when I say that every single time because it's true. All right, this one starts with a wavy line, and I'm going to go just end to end, like so. That's my almost used up nib pen. Change here. Okay. Then we're going to put some orbs, and the orbs are going to first. Let me do it this way. They're going to go on the underside of, the hills, we'll say. Well, actually, no, yeah, and then because, because if you were to flip it over, yeah, then it goes on the other side of the underside of the hills. I hadn't flipped it over when I was playing with it. I was just putting them on the over and under part. So really, that your original line is going to go on the outside of all of them, if that helps to think that way. Next, we're going to aura. And we're going to aura on the outside. And let's see. And so it's not, well, it could be a little tricky. So I'm going to find there we go. It helps to do it for me this way. And I'm going to go kind of slow because I want to keep an even distance, but I also want to touch those orbs. Well, and I should say an even distance as best I can. Nothing is perfect. So we're going to do that on either side. And maybe it helps to start, it could help to start in the middle if you wanted to. And like I said, if, like it gets a little bit thinner, we just don't worry about it. Okay. And that's neat. Next, we're going to put more orbs, but these are only going to be on the tops of the peaks. So, as I'm pointing to the bottom, that's funny. Oh, okay, let's put them on the top. Okay, on the tops of the peaks or the bottoms of the valley. How's that? But we're not doing this here. So, let's just call it at the tops because I don't want to get myself confused. Because then it's also nice to just flip your tile or your paper, whatever you're working on, and just draw them on the tops. And I've gone off the page here, so I'm just doing little partial orbs. All right. Then, one more time, we're going to do that same kind of aura. Although now we don't have the bottom orb to worry about, but still want to aura nicely. Auraing is a nice chance to slow down. Watch your pen. There we go. All right. Now, next step is we're going to it's kind of a curved line, and I guess you could do it curved or straight, just depends on how you feel. Here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to use you could think of it as one line, like one giant curvy line, or you could think of it as smaller ones. But what I found was thinking about the takeoff and land concept. So for instance, and I'm going to start here and go inwards, and I'll do this one on the side afterwards. So pick an orb on the top, on your top row, and then I'm going to trace over a little bit. I'm going to air do it first. So I'm going to trace over it a little bit and come down and then land on this orb. What you can do though with it is So we're going to take off here, land here. If you wanted to, you could just continue. That might, it's one of those where, oh gosh, maybe if I do it sideways. Ooh, let's try that. Okay. Oh, you could. Although, I mean, it's a long space, so you kind of need to readjust your hands. But that would work. And let's see, and then we'd have one coming up here. And then as I mentioned here, I tell you what, sometimes I forget to adjust the tile so it's comfortable. And so if anything ever feels awkward, just, take a minute, think about it, and air tangle, and to see what's comfortable. That was way more comfortable kind of doing it this way than going up and down. All right, last step in this one is we're going to do some fill-in. Now the fill-in is basically going to be all of the sections that do not have an orb. And, let me flip, if I even have it handy. Let me flip to my graphic one, because that will make it a lot quicker. All right. So we're going to just color in, minding those lines that we just drew. And sometimes when I use a thicker pen like this, I might not fill it all the way in, just because, especially around the edges, because I don't want to accidentally go over. So it will look a little sketchy for a minute. And then you could obviously either do it in by row or by column. Yeah. All of a sudden I had to look back. I'm like, yes, I did say every one that does not have an orb. And this fixes that line that I first drew that was kind of sketchy. And then up here in this corner is going to be, also fix this one that I kind of went over a little bit with the orb. And I'm gonna hit pause in a second here, and that way you don't have to sit and watch me do this. You kind of get the picture. But let me do, oh no, we just have this one more row. But again, every section that does not have an orb in it. And let me add this one thing before I do hit pause and finish filling this in nicely. And I think this will really only work on the outer edges. So if you needed to adjust your curve or something, this is the time to do it when you're filling in. As long as you can, whatever you need to do, if you can expand outward, it's like I can't make this, because they say this is kind of, let me switch to my other pen really quick. So I would have loved to make this arch a little bit bigger, but what I can do, and while I'm at it, let's just neaten all that up. That's why, again, I personally like to just tidy it up, these little edges with the 01, the finer liner. But I can make that curve a little bit better, like so. Just going a little bit on the outside, not too much because you don't want to make the problem worse, but using the opportunity of filling in to course correct anything that's kind of gone awry is actually it's a great comfort, because when something happens, kind of make a mental note, keep going though, right, while you're tangling, and mental note to go back and take a look when you get all done, and see if, okay, will a fill-in help it, or maybe will it be hidden by shading. There's those couple options, and if nothing else works, we have something we call the Bronx Cheer, And I do have a video on that, so you just have to go take a look at it. It's the kind of almost the ultimate in course correcting, when, like I said, when something is making you not happy. And that, well, actually, it's almost the ultimate. The ultimate would be if it's really not making you happy, just put it in a pile. And then there's this class. It actually it's a technique. I think I have a video replay of the class called Transcending. Rick and Maria from Zentangle have a video on that. You can always do a search, but I believe I did put my one video of a class that I did on that in the replay section. All right, let me pause and finish this up, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, there we go. Now, something else that I thought of as I was mentioning the course corrections. Now, on the step out, of course, they have Lisette has, filling in every other one. She has it filling in solidly, but if you look, and the link will be in the description section. This is the For More Inspiration link, and you scroll down where she has some samples of her work with this tangle. And if you've been following along, you know that we don't always have to do exactly what is in the step out. So for instance, as you know, this, it shows filling in, but you can do other things. You could just draw some straight lines. As I was doing that, I thought, oh, there's a tangle called Doodah. And if you've not seen that one, I believe I have a video on it. It's so cute. I'm like, oh, that would have been perfect. As I was not getting my lines to hit, from one side to the other. But I'm like, ooh, I might have to do this one again and use that. So, and this, and I saw this on one of the samples. I'm like, that looks really, really neat. And then, well, so with that, I'm gonna throw some shading in here, and you know what? I'm gonna do this on the inside of this line, because I can always go on the outside if I feel like it. But let's try this. And you could sort of do it with this when there's a lot of black. Sometimes, I mean, of course, you could do the same, in the white sections, because obviously, where you have the dark sections, it's not going to make any difference. But let me just do this, because I want to see what it will look like. Okay, well, and this over here, that's going to be dark anyway. All right, then with the tortillon, I'm going to bring that in just a little bit. Oh, neat. Oh, I like the one already. Oh, it's so cool when we do the shading. It just looks so neat. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, so that's one thing. But, it actually kind of looks neat in and of itself. But let's do the other side. And that will just make it look totally wavy. Now, I'll show you something on the other one too. So if you want to have a little shine. Now, when I filled in the orbs, oh, let's see. Oh, I was starting to say, let me interrupt myself again. When you need to, course correct because something happened that you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't make me happy. So for instance, in this one, when I was drawing this line, I went into, one of the orbs. I'm like, oh, nuts. That's not what is supposed to happen. And so then I thought, oh, well, I'll just fill those in. Because when it comes to the decorating part, we can do whatever we want. Oh, look at how neat that looks. Did I get all the sides? Because I like to have that nice gradient. Yeah. So that is super cool. Oh, and while I'm talking, let's just pop the whole thing off the page. So I'm going to put some heavy graphite on the outside here. So anyway, as things happen, the trick is to not get frustrated, and it's just something that we all kind of figure out and work through, because we all like to do things, perfectly. and life's not a perfect world. So what's nice is just to kind of have these things in your mind as like, well, okay, check wherever it is. I'll take a look at that afterwards. And then having ways to adjust things is great. So I decided, well, let's start with filling in the orbs and then go from there and see what else I want to do. Oh, neat. Woo. That's kind of cool. It really is. How dramatic is that? So on just a quick note, if you've not messed with filled in orbs or messed with the shine part, for these I didn't do anything except for leave a little area. So as I was filling them in, I'm just pointing with my pencil, I made a little orb inside the orb and then colored around it. It kind of ensured that I was going to have a space. And then if you do that, then you can have it, at regular places if you want. The other thing is if you have a white gel pen, then you can use that instead. So like if you forget or something or want to come after the fact, like I'm going to do right here, and let me get my number 10. Yes. So let's see, and do I want to do that on this? Sure, why not? Okay. So if you wanted to add some shine just in these top places, number one, you could do it similarly to this where you just leave the gap. And I've had several videos where I explain that. So what I usually do with that is I start filling in on either side of the center, so that way in case I forget and get carried away. But if you don't do that, you can do this. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. I'm not going to, well, maybe I'll do a combination. Let's do a white chalk. Oh yeah, that's a little more subtle. The white jelly roll is going to be real stark, but you can do it either way. So as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a back and forth, and then you can play with it. I mean, number one, use what you have. If you have colored pencils, that might work as well. I've not tried that. But this is by Generals. That's the brand. It's just a white, white charcoal pencil, or they have the white chalk pencils. Oh, but listen a minute. It is kind of neat if you could just do one side, because then this makes this look like it's dipped down. And then if you want to get really extra fancy, then you could always add, and I'm just going around kind of the outside. We could do some of the shading there, but I just want to we'll make some orbs. If I wanted to take the time right now, which I'm not going to. But here's a hint, because I know some people that are going to do this on our Facebook group. You can make these some really gorgeous colored, adding some color in there, gems or water droplets or something. And then this too, you can leave a little gap in them, or, oops, let me make sure that's working. Sometimes you got to get it flowing first. Or with a white jelly roll, this is with the pen, you can go right over, just make a little puddle. And sometimes if working over the graphite, just kind of have a scrap piece of paper, or that's what this is for me. It's my blotter. So I'm going in a corner and I'm wiping it off, because the graphite will junk up that tip. And so then you can just add, so like I said, I'm just putting a little dot of white. Maybe if I had made those a little bit darker. Sometimes also be patient, let it dry. Sometimes they brighten up. Oh no, look at that, looks neat. This one, let's see, there was one here. Yeah, I didn't quite have it. There we go. A little bit darker with the graphite. I had left a wider opening there. But you can play with that. So much fun. It just adds a little something. But again, be patient, let it dry, because a lot of times it lightens up once it's dried. But there we go. A couple of neat ideas on this Quagga. And it's it's a neat tangle. It has a really, really neat look even before we add the extras with the shading and the highlighting and stuff like that. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, would love to have you be a subscriber to the channel. Also, remember in the description section are the step outs, which are instructions, and also ways to connect with me if you'd like to. I have some fun classes every week. Most are free, some are paid. Information is on my website, which is linked below, as well as a Facebook group that we have a nice group of people that share the tangles and the stuff that we do, on these quickies and in the classes and stuff like that. So would love to have you become a part of join in the fun. We'll say that. All right. Thanks again so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.